Howdy, hello, everybody. Coming to you cordless from glamorous Minneapolis. It's Tuesday night, June 2nd, 2026. I am Jim Peters, and welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. This is episode number 354, if you're keeping score at home. And we've changed the format of our show as of last night. So we're posting the Jimcast, my monologue, and our interview separately. So at 8:30 tonight, or that's Central, 9:30 Eastern time, we're going to run our interview tonight with Red State columnist Jennifer Oliver O'Connell. So then so it's going to be about 5-10 minutes after we're done with this. So so that's the way this works now. So we're going to do the monologue at 9 p.m. Eastern and an interview if we have one at 9:30. Now tonight at 10:30 Eastern. We're going on TikTok again for another TikTok Live. If you want to join us, handle is Jim at Night. That's our handle everywhere, and we'd love for you to show up. I have to say, we did it last night. I was really astonished. I got 485 likes off our little 45-minute discussion. I was really shocked. It's like, you got to be kidding. I mean, so, okay, that's cool. I mean, I'm glad people are liking it. That's fantastic. That's the idea. That's the reason we're doing it there. So tomorrow, our guest is going to be Alejandro Martinez Arriaza. And my God, I better learn to pronounce his name. He's the head of the National Food and Commerce Union of Mexico. And he's been in the news lately because he's been trying to convince Trump, primarily successfully, to move labor from China to Mexico. It's better in Mexico and China. That's his thing, and that's what we're going to talk about. Thursday, our old friend Jonathan Lockwood, a U.S. Army colonel, retired, and military strategist and historian, join us. Jonathan's a regular here. We bring him on to talk about military stuff. We're going to talk about Iran and Ukraine. I'm really interested about what's going on in Iran because, once again, I think we are basically fooling everybody, especially the stupid mainstream press. But I'm interested to see what Jonathan has to say about that. Jonathan had a stroke a couple of weeks ago, very minor one, but he's been out of commission for a couple of weeks, so it'll be nice to see him again and have him back. I have no idea. He told me he's up to this, so I'm taking his word for it, and it'll be nice to talk to him. The guy knows his shit. I don't know if you ever watched him. I mean, here, but I mean, we're very lucky to have him. I mean, he's very, very astute, very knowledgeable what he does. He has a book that is used as a textbook at West Point. That's the type of guy we're talking about here. So on Monday, Richard Lyons is going to be here, and he has a new book out. He's an author. The book is called The DNA of Democracy, and we're going to talk to him on Monday. Like I said, we have a TikTok live tonight at 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, and I do want to remind you, too, another thing that happened over the weekend we talked about last night, and we now have a 24/7 linear channel running on YouTube. In other words, it runs constantly. It's a TV channel, basically, and it's all, not all of, but it's our selected interviews that we've done. These are from the last 6 months. I mean, we have 3 years piled up. Basically, as far as I can tell, I've done about 300 interviews at this point, but we've taken them mostly from the first of the year, so they're relatively recent. I got 22 in the queue right now, so they rotate, and not only that, they're shuffled every time all 22 play. It's like a loop, you know. we're looping it up, and yeah, and that's fun. So you don't have to watch you don't have to make any decisions. Just go there and watch. Got some talking with somebody, who knows, you know. Yeah. Okay. So and this is the Jimcast for Tuesday, June 2nd. And I want to start off here with the fact that news you need to know. And that's the reason you come here, because you're not going to hear this anywhere else. I'm going to tell you this right now. Gas prices are going to go up through the roof in the next month. And here's the reason. All the strategic petroleum reserves, not just the government reserves, but even the reserves Exxon's has, because of the Iranian war, are all down to almost zero. So they've been taking gas, petroleum out of the reserves to keep gas prices down. And of course, they're already relatively high. I mean, I paid $4.60 for premium the other day. I mean, it's pretty bad, especially considering the fact that 3 months ago it was under $3. Hell, I was getting premium at Costco for under $3. Premium, pretty amazing. But they're going to go even higher now because the CEO of Exxon says, even if the war ended tomorrow, it's going to take them like 4 months to get back to where we were, where normal commerce is. And so this is our friend Beej Wilborn at hotair.com. She reported on this today. And so, yeah, you got to know this. This is going to happen. I mean, right now they said there's no turning back. I mean, the gas prices are going to completely blow up here in the next like 6 weeks. So I'm just giving you a fair warning on that. So yeah, so the thing is, first of all, Biden blew out the petroleum reserves of the government to keep the price down. He did that. He never filled them back up, and the Trump administration was in the process of filling them back up, and then the war came, and of course they need petroleum for to do their military thing, and the commercial companies, Exxon, Chevron, whatever you're talking about, their reserves, they have also been pumping reserves into the system to keep the price down, and everyone's almost tapped out. So they figure they're going to hit zero in like 2 weeks. So, and like I said, the CEO of Exxon has said that even if the war ended today, it's going to take them about 4 months to get back to normal, basically. So that's a lot of fun, isn't it? Here's another thing that's fun, but at this point it's the opposite. I've been saying basically for whoever would listen for like the last 2-3 years that AI is going to cause massive unemployment. Well, the unemployment figures for April came out today, and there's my God, it's like the job openings blew through the roof. It was way better than anybody even though the best most optimistic projections. And it appears it's because of AI. In other words, I'm happy to tell you, very happy that I may be wrong about this. And really, seriously, I have no problem admitting that I'm wrong, especially this time because being wrong would be a good thing. Uh, the, Going through the numbers, excuse me, excuse me, going through the numbers, most of the economists has concluded that there's more jobs because of AI, not in spite of it. And that's fantastic. That's good. But meanwhile, on the other hand, and this happened during our 1 week break last week. I've been saving this for the right time. Some company somewhere, and they want to release which company it was, some major corporation made AI available on their desktops to their employees, and that company, I think it was with Anthropic. They're using Anthropic AI. They in 1 month blew through $500 million of usage, $500 million in a month, just from people sitting at their desktops. I mean, what was this American League's batting average in 1904 or whatever the hell they're doing? You know, yeah, $500 million. They do, and they won't. Of course, they won't release what company it is. But the thing is, the guys at Anthropic are saying that this is becoming increasingly common. I mean, this is an extreme case, but the whole bunch of companies now are putting a monthly budget toward their employees' AI usage, and everybody's basically blowing the budget up. It's like, because you have to know what year Elvira came online or whatever. I don't know. What did I ask Copilot this morning? I asked, I wanted to know what year stock trading started on the internet for the public. And the answer is, although the answer is complicated, the first firm to do it was E-Trade, where they were called Trade Plus then. And although they started it in 1992, it basically went really public in 1995, which was my guess, because I've always said you can basically trace the public commercial internet back to 1995. I was working on the internet in 1995. That in April of 1995, Yahoo moved from Stanford University, the Yahoo website, to yahoo.com, It was like April 21st or something like that, and I've always looked at that as the start of the commercial internet, even though it did start before that. That's true, and I can't remember what was the name of the search engine I was using. I can't remember. Oh, the web crawler, I think it was, because there were like really in 1994 before this, there were like 400 websites online. That was it. And I still remember this. And they were updating yahoo.com manually. So if you wanted your website added, you would send in a request and fill out the form, and they would do, and people would do that. They had people doing that. Whereas now, I think the last I heard, I don't know if this is actually true. The last thing I heard is that there's 1 billion websites added to the internet every day. But in 1995, you sent in a form, and the people at Yahoo would decide if they were going to add you to the listing or not. Yeah, that worked out great. Well, it did. It worked for a while, and that's the problem. It worked for a very short period of time because in 1995, everything blew up. So, all right, this is something that's very dear in my heart. And if you watch the show at all, I feel strongly about this, about the fact that climate change is bullshit. Now, I need to really be precise on this. Climate change is real, but humans causing climate change is bullshit. As a matter of fact, that's not happening at all. The climate is changing and the world is warming up. It's been warming up for 300 years, but it's entirely natural. It has nothing to do with any industrialization on the planet whatsoever. And the smoking gun proof of that is the fact that for the first half of those 300 years, there was no industrialization on the planet at all. And the planet's still warming up, you know. So anyway, there was an article in the New York Post yesterday, and this was very prescient. I need to bring this up because that finally, people are starting to realize this was all crap. This was the biggest single grift ever propagated on the American public, and it started with Al Gore's film, An Inconvenient Truth, in 2006. And I want to point out, so it's the 20th anniversary this month, or May was, of that film coming out. Almost everything in that film turned out to be wrong. Almost everything. And Gore is still still running on the planet, getting rich off spawning bullshit, you know. So I had Patrick Moore on the show 6 months in. It would be about 2 years ago now. And it was the single biggest, still the single biggest, most watched broadcast of the show. And he's a climatologist, and his really amazing claim of fame is he is one of the true co-founders of Greenpeace, and he quit Greenpeace because he couldn't abide by the climate bullshit anymore. He's a climatologist by trade, and he said it was plainly obvious. And I've talked about this too. I can't go into details here because I can't really tell. It would be a breach of confidence on my part. This is around 2012. I'm at the Christmas party of a very large scientific organization. There's about 100 really famous scientists there. I can't tell you the name of the organization, can't tell you where it was, and I can't tell you why I was there, but I was there. It's a Christmas party, and people are getting kind of sloshed. And I'm at the bar with a very well-known climatologist, not famous to the public, but well-known in the field. And him and I are drinking. I did not know this guy before I came to the party. And we're talking, and I said, "Professor, tell me about climate change." And he slams his drink. He's kind of drunk. He slams his drink on the counter. He says, "Yeah, I'll tell you about climate change. Climate change is complete and utter bullshit." And he went on a 20-minute monologue about how this was all crap, and that the only reason anybody in his profession was paying any attention to it, because if you didn't, you wouldn't get any money for any other projects. And I was already I'm kind of scientifically inclined anyway. I was already starting to wonder if it was bullshit. And when I heard that from him, I went down the rabbit hole. And in some ways, that started me on this whole thing. I got hired to do podcasts at Kong News, but it was one of the impetuses for me wanting to get into this. It was such a lie. It still is. And in New York City, they just reconfigured Battery Park, and they spent I don't know how many millions of dollars to do it, so that it would stay over. It would not go underwater as the sea temperature rose because of climate change. I will be surprised at the end of the century. I won't be around if 75 years from now, if the sea has gone up more than 2 inches. And they're predicting feet. No, it's bullshit. And the thing is, like I said, the world is warming up, but and here's the other thing that gets completely lost in this: the world warming up is actually a net positive for the planet. There will be more tillable land on Earth with the world warming up than not. So yeah, it's true. You might have to move out of Phoenix. It might get too hot to live there, but in northern Canada, more people are going to be able to grow more stuff. So, I mean, this whole thing was complete crap, complete. And trillions of dollars were spent on this. 2 weeks after I had Patrick Moore on my show, the UN put up a website, and I still have a copy of it somewhere. They took it down, but I copied it. That they said, we can solve the climate problem for $75 trillion. They actually said that. I want to point out the whole GDP of the United States is about $16 trillion a year. They wanted $75 trillion to quote unquote solve climate change. What a bunch of bullshit. The public is finally getting this. And you don't know, I don't even want to tell you how many people, relatives I've argued with about this. I mean, I try not to bring up my political beliefs because I do this for a living. But I have to tell you, and I know some of you know this, I have a young couple friend of mine. They're in their late 20s, and they've decided they're not going to have children because of climate change. And I had to bite my tongue so hard to tell them that's the stupidest reason ever. I mean, yeah, if you don't have kids, that's fine, but not for that reason. That's bullshit. So anyway, I'm glad this is finally getting out. There was a deranged passenger on a flight from, is it Puerto Rico? Yeah, from Puerto Rico to Chicago last night yesterday, they had to land in Miami because this guy was trying to open the emergency exit door and jump out of the airplane. And he had to be physically restrained. They had to land in Miami, emergency landing, to deal with this. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, because first of all, I had to hear about this from a lot of people, about the fact that people say flying's getting more dangerous. And I don't really know if that's true. You have to understand that right now there's 25,000 commercial flights in America every day. There's 10 million a year. I mean, this flying has increased dramatically in the last 25 years, mostly because it's gotten so cheap. And also that's also the reason it's such a terrible experience too. But you have to understand, I mean, I don't remember, I figured this out afterwards, that when I was 4 years old in 1960, my mother took me to Yugoslavia to meet my relatives, and we flew Pan American because that was the international airline then. And I figured out many years later, just a few years ago, that I figured out that my seat on that flight from New York to London was the rough equivalent today of $20,000. I'm astonished how my dad popped for this. I am. But my dad was a notorious tightwad, but he did. It was 20 grand in current money. And now you can make that same flight. Well, if you do it, on a discount, and you can do it for $500, New York to London. So that's one of the reasons flying's gotten incredibly cheap, and because of that, everybody's doing it. Because of that, it's a really bad experience. But I also do wonder if people in America are getting crazier, and I think politics has kind of pointed to this. I mean, look at what's going on in this in New Jersey with these riots, or the riots that happened here in Minneapolis, over the winter. A couple people got killed. I mean, what are these people accomplishing? I don't even think they know. I don't. They say they want to abolish ICE. Like, why? Well, ICE is running around and arresting criminals. Now, if we get to the point where we're starting to deport law-abiding people, okay, then we have to have a conversation, because first of all, the polling indicates that the majority of the public is even for that, of deporting all legal aliens, whether they're law-abiding or criminals. But right now, they're only deporting the criminals. So, and even Trump has acknowledged that, that might not fly. When you're talking about kicking out people who've been peaceable and law-abiding, I mean, we might have to deal with that some way, but I don't nobody has any problem with criminals, and yet that's what these people are protesting against. They don't want ICE to be, and I guess those criminals are former or future Democratic voters. I guess I don't know, you know. But yeah, that's the reason I'm bringing this up. I don't know. I first of all, like I said, I think statistically, flying is not getting more dangerous. Even though the problem is we have a press that's hyper focused right now. They have nothing else to report on, so they grab anything. So if two planes come within 500 between a half a mile of each other, that gets reported in the news now. Excuse me. But I do wonder if there's some. It seems like there's almost some sort of mass psychosis in the populace about the fact people seem to be acting more and more crazy. Oh, I don't know. I don't know, and I'll leave you with this tonight. I got a couple things here I had to say. I saved this from last week. Yeah, I couldn't. We went on vacation. I couldn't stop. I can't stop collecting news stories. I can't stop. I mean, I spend 2 3 hours every morning doing this. It's a habit now. Britney Spears was picked up by the police in Los Angeles, and she offered them lasagna. Now, I I think I don't know about you, but I'm not gonna keep lasagna in my car to offer to the police. I'm not. But she offered to the arresting officers lasagna. And finally, and this is from the Daily Star, news with a wink, they call it. I love those English publications. They're these people. They're for old horny men. That's what they are. Here's the headline there: Bossy girlfriend has put me on a sex ban. I sleep on the sofa and play with myself. I bet you do. What a great way to spend your time. All right. I got to keep this under half an hour, man. It's like that's my problem. I can go on forever. All right. TikTok tonight, 10:30 Eastern. Right. Tomorrow. Oh God. It's like can't pronounce this guy's name. Alejandro Martinez Arieza. There. I got it. I better learn how to do it before he comes on. I don't want to embarrass myself. He's the head of the National Food and Commerce Union of Mexico, and he's going to be our guest tomorrow. And hopefully, if our handle on TikTok is Jim and Night, and hopefully you guys will basically joining me. I want to thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe us. We didn't have any subscribers last night, though we had 485 likes. And the reason I have to bring up the subscriber thing is because there's certain we need to hit 1,000 followers on TikTok before we can do certain things. And so I'm pushing this really hard because that's we need to do some of that stuff because otherwise our numbers are fantastic. But the followers thing, I think we have about 330 right now. But anyway, yeah, if you're so inclined and you can watch us on the YouTube 24/7 at Gemini 2. Thanks for watching. Good night, Uncle Donnie, wherever you are. And good night to you, wherever you may be. We'll see you tonight and tomorrow. Take care, everybody.